Hello everyone, today let's talk about suffering and happiness, about Schopenhauer, and why so many people live in pain. The poor strive to escape poverty, only to find the path unbearably difficult. In the end, they realize that just surviving already takes everything they've got. Young people seek freedom, wanting to live life on their own terms, but they're constantly crushed by the harsh weight of reality, forced into submission. Those deemed successful worry incessantly about the gain and loss of their wealth and interests. And when tormenting illness or inevitable mental anguish comes, they begin to pray that their frail bodies and impoverished souls can endure the suffering, but ultimately find their efforts futile. There are countless sources of human suffering. We suffer when we can't get what we want, when promises can't be fulfilled, when the life we envision is impossible, when we can't be with the people we love, when we can't overcome illness, when we must endure trauma, when we lose loved ones, when we live feeling stifled and unfree. All these unmet desires and aversions create an endless sea of misery. Schopenhauer believed that human life is governed by the force of the will. This will continuously drives us to pursue the fulfillment of our desires. These desires aren't limited to money or unrealistic fantasies. They include every kind of craving and resistance. Hunger drives us to eat, poverty drives us to earn, illness drives us to seek health, aging drives us to seek longevity. But whether our desires are fulfilled or not, the outcome is suffering. On the one hand, if a desire is fulfilled, it brings fleeting happiness. Yet that moment quickly fades into emptiness and boredom, which is another form of suffering. Then new desires emerge, new cravings and aversions. On the other hand, many desires are never fulfilled, and unfulfilled desire is a direct path to pain. This is why life, in Schopenhauer's view, is fundamentally suffering. Whether or not the will is satisfied, suffering persists. Schopenhauer took a stark, affirming view of the world's true nature. Suffering is reality. Happiness is fleeting and illusory. He believed that the root of all suffering is the will. The world, in its very essence, is a world of will. He elevated will to a metaphysical principle. Even before rational humans came into being, in the plant world, the animal kingdom, and the universe itself, will was in motion. The outward expanding forces in physics are manifestations of will. Plants strive toward the sun, reach downward for water. These are expressions of the will to survive. The kind of person one becomes is also driven by the will. Moralists want to spread values and resist darkness. Rational people pursue ideals. Ordinary people seek a stable piece of land. All life forms strive to survive and fulfill their desires. When desires are blocked, and will exerts itself in the phenomenal world, beings with emotional consciousness experience suffering, because this is a world dominated by will. The phenomenal world is the outward appearance of will. Kant divided the world into phenomena and things in themselves. Schopenhauer expanded on the notion of things in themselves and called it the will. The will is the inner essence of the world, and of human beings. The phenomenal world is not merely subjective or objective. It is the bridge connecting both. It is diverse, unstable, and relative. In other words, life can never truly know the sun or the earth. What we see is only appearance. We cannot truly touch rivers and mountains. What we touch is sensation. The world, to us, is a representation, a phenomenon, not an entirely objective reality. To speak of objectivity without acknowledging the subject is meaningless. Without our consciousness, the so-called objective world has no meaning to us. And our consciousness is, in essence, also will. The world we perceive is the outward form of a will-dominated reality. What we see, feel, and experience is not the world as it is, but the result of will's manifestation. Our every thought, emotion, rational activity, intuition, and behavior is the expression of will projecting outward. Will always acts according to the principle of desire. Though humans are rational animals, reason is still bound by will. Rational thinkers want to promote their ideas, but even that is driven by will. Much of our behavior is random and unconscious. Impulses, inner compulsions, subconscious drives, sudden flashes of intuition, all proof that will is constantly at work within us. When will acts outwardly, regardless of success or failure, It brings suffering to emotionally sensitive beings. The world of will is a world of suffering. The process of fulfilling desire is inherently arduous. It consumes immense time and energy, and that alone is painful. Before desire is fulfilled, we suffer. After it's fulfilled, boredom and despair soon follow. Because desire is cyclic and endless, and since will cannot be eliminated, desire too is endless. Therefore, lasting happiness is impossible in the human world. The simplest happiness for an ordinary person might be a full meal when hungry. Yet even though we eat every day, we don't feel joyful each time, because the moment a desire is met, a new one emerges. Unfulfilled will is an absolute truth and the fundamental nature of our existence. In Schopenhauer's view, life is like a small boat drifting aimlessly in an ocean of endless suffering. We don't know which direction is forward or backward. From the moment our physical bodies are born, there's no turning back. Driven by will, we are destined to wander in this sea of pain. Suffering is not an occasional event, it is life. However, revealing life's tragic reality was not Schopenhauer's ultimate aim. Although he acknowledges it as fact, tragedy is not the entirety of life. That is just what is. What Schopenhauer truly sought to convey was a kind of optimistic pessimism, a genuine optimism born from seeing the world clearly. He said, "My happiness lies within me. Whether our life is valuable or lost, the deciding factor is not philosophical concepts, but the deepest core of our being." And what is that core? It is the will. The will entraps us in temporary suffering and fleeting joy, but it also offers redemption. For the will itself does not define pain or pleasure, it is neutral. Pain and joy exist only in the phenomenal world. Schopenhauer argued that will merely affirms itself. When the essence of will fully and clearly manifests in the world and is recognized by conscious life, this recognition doesn't hinder its desire, it completes it. In other words, when life becomes aware of the essence of will, and understands that will is simply affirming itself, this awareness purifies the will. Schopenhauer used the metaphor of a purifier, meaning that will loses its blind, irrational force when it is truly recognized and integrated by conscious life. This is the moment when one achieves their true inner essence. Schopenhauer believed that many saints realized this truth and expressed it through action. When one is free from suffering, happiness becomes irrelevant. So why do we suffer? And how can we find true happiness? The answer lies in clearly seeing the world as mere appearance. Schopenhauer echoed ancient philosophers. External happiness is nothing compared to inner well-being. To attain happiness, the key lies in one's inner essence. Although few reach the level of inner enlightenment of the saints, there are degrees of happiness based on our understanding of our inner nature. This is why the same external circumstances affect different people differently. Schopenhauer said, "A healthy personality is a joyful one. The more a person is cultivated, the more they can see through illusion and live a valuable life. A meaningful life direction allows one to remain joyful even in a sea of suffering. This doesn't mean we should ignore material needs or withdraw from society. People endure different levels of suffering, but those differences are not determined by status or wealth. Since we perceive all things through our consciousness, the mind becomes the most critical factor. If one lacks spiritual depth and personal effort, no external condition can bring true joy. Those with shallow minds only seek sensory pleasures. Yet the most lasting and meaningful happiness comes from the satisfaction of the inner soul. Attending to the self is a path to cultivating one's inner quality. Physical advantages will eventually succumb to time, but the mind, the spirit, is eternal. All we can do in life is to fully develop our nature, strive toward the fulfillment it can accept, and avoid what it rejects. In doing so, we choose the position, profession, and lifestyle most suitable for ourselves. Spiritually strong people are more inclined toward inner life. As their experience deepens, this life becomes like a work of art, coherent, balanced, increasingly refined. Those who only seek personal comfort in life may experience a wide range of superficial pleasures, but their lives lack true depth. How petty and pitiable that is. Even more unfortunate are the mediocre souls who take this pitiful state of existence as their ultimate goal. Their focus is not on their inner being, but on chasing ever-shifting desires. Yet the self, one's inner essence, is the primary thing to consider. It is always with us, coloring every experience we have. No matter what we seek or wish to enjoy, it is first filtered through the self. But we must understand, happiness intertwined with suffering is merely a manifestation of the world of appearances. It is the external expression of our inner will. Suffering is the fundamental truth of the world of appearances. Happiness is a fleeting illusion. This is the first layer of understanding. Deeper still is the realization that the root of suffering lies in the will itself, in its endless striving to affirm its own nature. Only by recognizing and clarifying the nature of the will can we see that all our joys and sorrows are nothing more than dreamlike illusions. Many people go through their entire lives without ever grasping the true meaning of existence. They chase after different kinds of happiness in various forms, seeking fleeting pleasures, and trusting their hopes to elusive desires and fleeting novelties. But in the end, all they find is suffering. Even in their final days, they drift without direction. Our lives are inherently brief and impermanent. Everyone will die. So let us turn our attention to what we can truly carry with us, the qualities of our inner being, not to the things we must inevitably leave behind.